lead together, embrace change, enhance everyone's journey. The 3 core principles of SmartStop, a leader in self-storage real estate across North America, reinforce why we're proud to bring you SheEO Lead-In, the podcast featuring curated conversations with powerful women sharing their impactful wisdom. It's a self-knowledge, self-discovery, and self-preneurship audio storage vault created by and for women. SmartStop's presentation of SheEO Lead-In begins right now.
Have you ever felt that you as a woman may not appear to measure up when you see incredible women in strong roles? You may be surprised when hearing from women in these positions and how we all share many of the same challenges. Thank you for joining us for the SheEO Leading-In podcast with Rebecca Jones as we share the journeys of women.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Jones, your host of SheEO Lead-In. We are on an exploration together to discover more about the personal journeys of incredible women in both career and life. We all have paths to share that sometimes take incredible turns, deep resilience, and courage to navigate. My hopes are that the challenges shared here encourage women to take leaps of faith and growth when a journey feels too difficult or unachievable. There is great strength deep within each one of us. These stories are meant to share the ways strong women have taken their dreams to strive and thrive to new heights, despite their sometimes rocky paths, and found a way to lead in. Today, we are here with Cyndi Smith, the CEO and co-founder of Fierce and Kind Spirits. How are you today?
Great, thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Good. I'm excited to hear all about what you do every day. But let's start with a little icebreaker for our listeners. Tell us, do you have like a fun story about your childhood? It could have to do with your career or not, whatever you think.
A fun story about my childhood.
That maybe people don't know about you.
Okay, well, my background is in education. Actually, I was a high school teacher for about 12 years, but that wasn't my initial plan. My initial plan was to be a lawyer, and I actually went to law school for one day.
One day?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You made it. Wait, did you make it through the whole day, or was it a half day?
No, it was actually, I just barely made it through the front door, and I was like, I need to think about this again, and turned around and went back home. So I just decided, I kind of realized that I had always considered that I was going to be a lawyer. My father was a lawyer. It was a big family. I never really thought about it for myself, though. And so I had this moment and said, you know what? I need to make sure that this is what I want to do. Especially as I was sitting there trying to decide, my thought was, how long can I practice before I could just like get married and have babies and not have to do it anymore? And the funny thing is that I never had a moment of my childhood of thinking, I can't wait to have kids. I just wasn't one of those people. So I thought, okay, well, something's a little bit off here, and maybe I need to rethink this. And I went on a little journey. This was right after college. Went on a little journey, and I started just doing things that were meaningful to me. I started tutoring adults in literacy. I started taking some classes through some sort of graduate student at large programs. This was in Chicago. And everything just pointed to education. And so I went back and got my master's in education instead of law school. So,
well, I love that. And I think people are doing that more. They're finding that, you know what, I don't want to do that, even though I'm expected to. Maybe I have thought this. Even sometimes I think some of our guests have shared, yeah, all the way through college and everything, I thought I was going to do this. And then I realized this isn't for me.
Yeah.
And, you know, there is definitely something to be said when you're doing something that you love. It doesn't really feel like work. And I know it sounds very cliche, but it really is true.
It really is true. Yeah.
So finding something that you're passionate about, something that you really love to, you know, get to work, or, you know, however you do that job, to really excel at it, I think, is when you have all that passion for it and you're not just feeling like you're doing something you're expected to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So do you have a word that you think describes you best?
Well, I'd like to say fierce.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've made a lot of bold choices in my life, and I kind of grew up with this belief that, you know what, you can do whatever you want. I grew up in the 70s, and so that was the new message to girls, right?
Yeah.
And I really took that in. And so I've made some big pivots and in both my personal and my professional life. And of course, all of those decisions have turned out amazing, you know, and really made my life so full and interesting. So I attribute it to being fierce. We just had, my mom just passed last year. And in preparing her eulogy and talking about her, we came with the word tenacious. And it just fit every aspect of her life. And so I kind of aspire to that as well.
I love that. Yeah. Well, I actually, I grew up in the 70s as well, but I didn't have a family that made me feel like I could do anything. And so I didn't actually feel fierce, although no, I do. But I think that sometimes it's something that you're not exposed to, but you can get there.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of hope in that. So let's talk a little bit about your current career. How long have you been doing that? Because it is a little bit different than education.
Yeah. It's, well, we launched just 2 years ago this month with our first products. We started selling off of our website in January 2023. We were working on it since COVID, though. And at the time I had been, after teaching, I worked in corporate America. I worked in education technology. I did global business development. So I was traveling all around the world for about 12 years. And then in COVID, you know, had a moment to stay in one place for a long time.
Yeah.
And my partner and I, so I started the company with my partner, Bassem Harb, and he had been doing some research about whiskey companies for a while. He's a serial entrepreneur, has had several tech companies, still has one today. And but he was really interested, and we both had a love of whiskey. When I was traveling around the world, that was kind of something that we did, is tried whiskeys in different places and really loved it. And that was exciting as it was, but our company is sort of driven by a mission, and that's what came out of COVID, when we saw just the struggle that people were having, kind of the disparity in the experiences that people were having. And even though, you know, I spent my life in education, I felt like I could do more to give back. And so when we talked about the foundation and how we could build a spirits company that would fund the foundation, and the foundation's focus is on economic equity and building entrepreneurship and leadership in underserved communities. Like, that was the piece that helped me take the leap out of what I thought was a, you know, safe, risk-free corporate career, which is no longer true, but into this risky place of entrepreneurship. It was really the mission that convinced me to do it at the end of the day.
So you had the dream of helping others become entrepreneurs, and then you said, "Hey, let's just start a spirits company so we can fund that."
Yeah,
that's actually really cool, because not everyone would think, okay, they might go out and they might try to, you know, grant write and that sort of thing, without actually thinking, okay, let's make an entrepreneur move ourselves and let's start something new. So, and then finding out about something that you'd never actually been exposed to is really interesting.
Yeah.
So how do you measure success? Because I would imagine it'd be different than most spirit companies.
Yeah, well, so success as a spirits company, you know, and any early company, we're looking to build our footprint. It's really important to us to build a community around the brand, around the company, rather than just focusing on sales, getting as many bottles out as we can. We want them to get into communities. We want people to not just go out and buy one bottle. We want it to make their new go-to, and just really join in part of our community. And so, so we spend a lot of time doing events, creating experiences for people, and doing things around the brand that bring people together. in our second year, so in 2024, we had the opportunity to do a lot more of that and to give back. Our model is 25% of our profits. So as a new company, obviously it takes a while to get significant profits. So in the meantime, we thought, how can we partner with these organizations to really help building a foundation for our future giving? So we have a music series called Bourbon and Blues, and we have a concert about once a quarter is our goal.
And where are those located, if you don't mind my asking?
It's in different locations. So our last two are actually downtown at the Guild Hotel. Okay. They've been a great host and partner with us. We have some really cool, exciting venues this year. Actually, our summer one is going to be big and super fun. So
can you share anything about it?
I can't yet. I'll be in so much trouble, but it'll be really fun. And so what we did is we decided, initially the idea was it was kind of a thank you to our customers, our partners, and we would invite people. But then we realized it's a great fundraising opportunity. Mm-hmm. So all the proceeds that we get from ticket sales, from cocktail sales, we do raffles, we do a little auction, just kind of fun. It's not super intrusive into the event, but all that fundraising then goes to a partner organization. Our last one was with Defy Ventures, which I can tell you more about. Previously, we did one with an organization called Happy Hour Heroes. They're a very local grassroots organization started by some bartenders who provide low and no cost childcare to hospitality workers. So if they get in a situation where they have to choose between childcare and covering a shift, they can turn to this organization to get funding. So,
oh wow! So where do folks find out about all of this?
The best place is our Instagram. Okay. We haven't really gotten too good at posting on our website yet. It just takes a lot of upkeep to do that. So Instagram and through social media is where we're always keeping people informed. If you get on our newsletter, we always send out information about our upcoming events.
Okay. Well, so let's talk a little bit about balance.
Okay.
Balance, how do you do it? Do you find balance? I don't know. I always feel like sometimes I'm really doing very well at it, and then sometimes I'm failing. So I think it's kind of a cyclical sort of thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's definitely on my intentional list for 2025 is to have more balance. We just signed up for tango lessons that we're doing once a week.
Nice.
And not that we're going to be any great tango dancers anytime soon, but just something to challenge your mind to think in a different way, to just get out of your comfort zone. I'm looking for lots of opportunities like that. Mm-hmm. I love to play tennis. Bassem and I both play tennis together. So just making time for that, making time for our health, all those things. We're going to do better in 2025 than we did last year.
Well, that's good. And it sounds more like an intention than a resolution.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about barriers as a woman in leadership. Mm-hmm. What have you experienced in your career?
So I was the vice president of global product development at McGraw-Hill Education for a long time. And, I think because it's in education, it's a little friendlier to women in leadership, though you will still see an imbalance of the number of employees who are women. That tends to be like 60-70%, and leadership is still male by a huge margin. Yeah. So, I can't say I ever felt discriminated against. I had a great career. I had great opportunities. I just couldn't see how we can bring more women into those leadership roles. So we worked on mentorship programs, different things to kind of make sure that was happening. So I haven't really paid attention to it, I guess. Like, again, I have this mindset, like, I can do it. I know I can do this, and everyone's going to have their obstacles. So I'm just going to push through until I get to where I want to be.
And then I think with spirits, that's probably even, do you find any bias in that at all? Or
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I can see just when we're talking to people that people I think tend to be more inclined to talk to Bassem, to my partner, about certain things. There's a growing movement of women distillers, women throughout the field. There's a great organization called Women of the Vine and Spirits that are bringing together women, providing leadership training. And so it is shifting, and it's shifting fast. Really, a lot in the alcohol business, I think, is changing from the very kind of archaic, not archaic, but just very old school models that were around, 10 years ago. You have all of these craft distillers coming up. You have craft beer coming up. And all those things are sort of making cracks in a system that was pretty much closed off to most people.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about role models, but let's get back to that after we have a Smart Stop.
SmartStop knows the winning connection is when we elevate success together. SmartStop Self Storage, a California company with nearly 200 properties and over 15 million square feet of rentable storage in the US and Canada, is committed to positively impacting the communities we serve on the national and local level. By aligning our core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey with local initiatives focused on education, health, and social welfare, we all elevate together. Through financial and strategic partnerships with nonprofits and prestigious organizations such as Cloudcast Media, Arrow McLaren IndyCar, Breast Cancer Research Foundation, Wounded Warrior Project, USC Athletics, the Brampton Steelheads, MMA fighters and boxers, and other unique athletes, we aim to foster a sense of unity and pride within the communities we serve, creating a shared identity and generating a positive atmosphere. To learn more about our core values, our locations, and career opportunities, please visit us at smartstopselfstorage.com. SmartStop, elevating success together.
All right, so role models. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think coming up in the 70s and looking to the women who made big strides in changing the opportunities that were available to women. Obviously, there's still a lot of challenges in that. Yeah. I read all the books and did all the things and joined NOW and, considered myself a feminist for most of my life, even when people didn't really like that word. And honestly, I don't even hear that word anymore. I don't know if the perception is good or bad. It kind of seems to change, probably still negative. And then, I love seeing breakthrough people like Sarah Blakely and, some of these women who are just sort of challenging and pushing through on their own volition and just out of a great idea and a determination to make those dreams come true. And that's what I love about this entrepreneurship world and even this like influencer world and all these different jobs that women are creating. I mean, I see women today who they're going to start a beauty care company and they're going to run that on their side and like do that until they can get, enough momentum so that they can do it full time. And I see that all around all the time. And I just love it. I think it's so remarkable.
So it brings me back to your word and your mom's word, and that is the fierce tenacity.
Yeah.
And it's true. I think women are more bold today than they've ever been. I think changing, having something on the side as a side hustle that, I'm going to start this company and I'm going to get to it at a later date until I can monetize it the way that I'd like.
Yeah.
I think that's becoming a lot more prevalent. And, back in when my parents were, in the younger working age, it was more about staying with one career. You never really switched too much. Mm-hmm. I think that's actually becoming less of the norm.
I agree. I think, that model used to provide so much to people, you know, like you could start at a company when you graduate from college and retire from that company with amazing benefits. And they took care of you like, you were part of a family. And that's just not the case anymore, for whatever reason. And so I think that people, we see more layoffs. We see a lot of times that people aren't choosing to leave. And then we see, definitely younger generations of, having higher expectations of what a job's going to provide to them. And if they can't do it, then they don't seem to have any reservation about saying, well, you know what, that doesn't work for me. So I'm going to go find something else.
So let's talk a little bit about lessons that you've learned that you can share with our listeners that they could apply to their lives.
Yeah, we were sitting at dinner the other night with some friends and their 2 daughters who are in high school, and their father said, what advice would you have for young women? And this is from my high school teaching days as well.
Yeah.
I always told people, like, again, same message. You can do whatever you want. If you want to make jewelry, if you want to be a musician, like, go for that. But then get a minor in business. Figure out business, understand business, because that's what's going to set you apart from everyone else who wants to be a musician. If you know how to build a business around that, like, you're going to do great. And I think being successful does take spending some time in one career. I think that jumping around too much, it's going to give you certain skills. But, when you look at people who have been successful in careers, they've kind of stayed true to a path. And kind of move through that. So, it's hard. We always have to make those choices as we go, especially around our careers. And we spend a lot of our time working. And if you're unhappy with that, then it has such an impact in your life. So.
Well, I think, too, the younger you are, because I think there is something that's missing a lot of times, because we've got our kids now doing all these activities, which are great.
Yeah.
But there also needs to be a work aspect of that. I started working when I was a teenager.
Yeah, me too.
I worked at Jack in the Box, had to ride my bike there so that I could save up to buy the car and all of that. I think that is honestly missing from a lot of our kids' lives now, unfortunately, because I think that strong work ethic and the, I don't know about you, but I grew up with parents that were divorced when I was pretty young. And so I had to, if I wanted anything extra as far as, clothes and that sort of thing, I had to work to buy those things. So I always saved my money, was really intentional about that, but also working and, getting that, and it wasn't that it was, in my field, because Jack in the Box, obviously not.
Yeah.
But a lot of people can make a living at, that they could be in the corporate office. They could take what they learned and parlay that into something really amazing career-wise. So what are your thoughts about whether our kids are learning what they need to learn to really equip them for the future?
Yeah.
I know it's a very deep conversation.
It is a deep question.
Yeah.
But, I also worked, I actually got my first job when I was in 6th grade. And there was a program in our suburb where you could go to study in France for a month. And it was this exchange program. So they pulled together like 20 French kids, 20 American kids. You stayed in this hostel, and like it was kind of a crazy program. My mom and I talked about it later, like, where did this come from? But in order to do it, I think the whole program for the month cost $500. And I told my mom, I'm like, I'm going to earn that money. I'm going to earn it myself. And so I got a job delivering newspapers in my neighborhood. And I convinced my best friend who lived across the street to do it with me. And every morning we'd sit on the porch and roll the papers, and then we'd put them in the wagon. We'd do our little route. And we got a check for it. And I don't know, I really loved that. And I did the babysitting. I worked in a lumber store, or just anywhere I could. I don't know, it felt good to me. It felt like I was learning things. I was learning how to interact with people.
Yeah, I think definitely life skills, it helps you with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't know. I don't have kids, so I don't know how parents are really approaching having their kids work like that. My guess is not as much as
I think you know the answer to that question, because when you go out and you go to wherever you go in life, whether it's a food place or like a restaurant, a place where like a grocery store or whatever, I think our young people are different. They're a little different right now, and I don't know what to attribute that to.
Yeah. And sometimes I don't, when I was a manager, I had, some younger employees, and I couldn't quite understand their approach to work.
Yeah.
But then looking at it from their perspective, I kind of had some respect for the way that they approached it. I mean, we were like, these are the rules, and you follow the rules, and you don't question the rules, and you do what you're told, and you do your job, and that's it. And they weren't going to do that. And it was annoying as a manager, as a leader, but at the same time, like, good for them. Like, I don't know why it makes sense why, prior to COVID, why you have to come into the office every day, because that's what we do. Like, that's the rule. So I don't know, they're going to change things. Look how the economy has changed. Mm-hmm. Like, look at the jobs that are available now. Yeah. Like, it takes different skills, Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't be an influencer. I can't figure out how to do.
I would argue that everyone can be an influencer in some ways, because, well, for instance, attitudes.
Yeah.
There are a lot of, I think when I'm out and about, I see attitudes that sometimes are not good.
Yeah.
And I think that we all have I don't know, maybe a part in how we treat one another, because there's a lot of political divide. There's a lot of just divide in general. And I think that when we as adults are part of that, and we're like, oh, kind of trying to put yourself in that person's shoes. Oh, they seem very unhappy. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to try to be encouraging. Whatever it actually is, I think there's always a place that we could be an influencer.
Yeah, that's true. And I think, post-COVID, that changed us so much, I think. I know, like, I'm a big introvert. And so that time was like, this is amazing. Like, I don't have to go out and be with people. It was just always...
I felt tortured.
I know. And then I think we carried on a little bit too long of just being isolated, of staying behind our devices, of not getting out. And I feel people like ready to get back. I feel it myself. And, we see with politics and, all the things that we encounter, to your point, where people aren't interacting in ways that we used to, in ways that were acceptable before.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a pendulum shift in the next few years. I think we're going to get out and build community again, and be with each other again, and find experiences we can share. And at least that's my hope.
Okay,
we need it.
So I have a question for you then.
Okay,
you walk into a room of young women that are looking for some advice. What would you share with them, based on everything that we've talked about today, and then also about what you're seeing with the pendulum needing to shift? What do you think would be something you would share with them?
I think the first thing is to just really explore, like, what is it that gets you excited? Like you said, like, is it with people? Do you go crazy when you're not around people? Then, go be the mayor. Go do something where, you're in there and you're helping and you're working with people face to face every day. Yeah. If not, like, we all have to interact with people, but maybe you want to do something more creative where, you're building content, you're writing, So I think the first thing is just to understand truly what we love and to some extent what our skill set is. I definitely think that can change, and we should change our skill sets all the time, but we definitely have aptitude for different things, or some things come easier for everybody. So, find what that is, find where your passion is, and then go explore. Talk to as many people as you can. Ask all the questions. Why do you do this? How did you do this? I mean, I'm always amazed. Like, you meet someone and they have a job, like, I'm a logistics manager for, this company. Like, how on earth, do you get to that point? How do you, become a logistics manager? That's not something you think when you're young. But career paths are so fascinating, I think.
They are.
And so if you're young and you're thinking, okay, this is kind of where I want to be, go talk to people and see, how did they get there?
And try to shadow them, too. Spend a day with them. I think that whether you can do an internship or just even one day to see if that really excites you about it, because I feel like sometimes if you go to that exact job that you think you might want to be in the same field, but maybe in a little bit of a different, tweaked sort of way.
Yeah, exactly. And how can you sort of create your own path in that field, or bring something new, bring a different perspective for something. Like, what's been really fun about being in the spirits industry is coming at it from outside.
Yeah.
You see things so much differently. You do things so much differently. Sometimes it's a huge benefit. Sometimes it's not. But it's, I think we've been able to accomplish so much because we don't know what you can't do. I'm not legally, but in terms of goals and accomplishments, we don't know what's not possible. So we just go for what we want to do and how we want to do it.
Well, it's a fresh perspective. Mm-hmm. It's bringing those different eyes to something that you're not used to it all the time. It's something new, and you see it, and then you can bring in your other experiences. So that's what, when I was saying a little bit earlier, it is good to look at other things as you're going through life, because you might find something that you're really passionate about.
Yeah.
And you go, oh my gosh, I could do this. I could do this.
Yeah.
And so, reminding yourself that you don't have to stay in the same career your whole life.
No, you don't. And all the skills are transferable. Right. When I started looking for a job after being a teacher, I got so many people who told me, oh my God, how are you going to make it in business? It's so much harder. Please. I can't tell you how much easier working in a corporate job is than being a teacher. Yeah. But all those skills transferred immediately into what I was doing next. So there's no, any detour is going to be helping you along that path and get you to a place where you want to be. So.
And you just said, what's next? So what's next for you?
Well, with Fierce and Kind, we're going to keep growing. The parts of the business that I really love are the events and experiences that we're creating, working on, how do we just get to more people? How do we talk to more people? How do we tell our story? And it's fascinating. My background isn't in marketing, but there's so much to learn. I'm really looking at all of this AI stuff, and so many things are changing. So I'm definitely spending a lot of time learning of, how can these things really help us in the business? What things aren't worth exploring? That's kind of the future, and just, growing. We say we have a 9 to 5 job and a 5 to 9 job. So we're working on the business during the day. In the evening, we try to get out to the places that carry us. We'll go into these bars and restaurants. We'll buy people drinks. We'll try to meet everybody. So if you see us out in a bar, come say hi. We'll buy you a Fierce and Kind old fashioned or whatever you like. So it's fun. It's nonstop. But, I'm doing it with my life partner as well. Yeah. So that's really fun for us. We sometimes get too busy where we have to do separate events. But for the most part, we try to do them together because we really enjoy it. And And I think we're a really good couple. We balance each other well, and the way we represent the company, people can feel it, and it feels really good. Yeah.
So your Instagram is how people will find out about your music events and all of that. What is your Instagram?
It's fierce.kind.
Okay.
Instagram.
Fierce.kind.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Really enjoyed hearing about the why, and then also about what your thoughts are on what the next generation should be doing and how they can find their way through this life.
Yeah, thanks. It was great talking with you today.
Now that was powerful. We hope you've been lifted and encouraged by today's inspiring voice. Always remember that life doesn't look exactly the same for each one of us. Never stop dreaming, striving, and thriving. In future episodes, we look forward to bringing you powerful stories from amazing women who learned how to lead in to challenges. Thank you for listening and being part of our community with SheEO host, Rebecca Jones.
The incredible curated SheEO conversation you just enjoyed was brought to you by SmartStop, a leader in self-storage real estate and a company that upholds its core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey. To learn more about SmartStop, please visit smartstopselfstorage.com.
Cloudcast Media.